When the black limousine stopped outside Mel's diner and a young billionaire stepped out asking for the woman mopping floors, Camilla dropped her bucket with a crash that echoed through the stunned silence. She had no idea that 15 years ago, when she gave her last oatmeal cookie to a crying baby, she had planted a seed that would grow into an empire built on kindness. The morning rush at Le Jardin was in full swing, crystal glasses catching the California sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Camilla moved between tables like a ghost, her pristine white uniform deliberately nameless, management policy to keep staff invisible. "So guests don't know who you are," they'd said on her first day 3 years ago. Translation: "You don't matter." The young white woman burst through the mahogany doors like a hurricane, designer handbag swinging, a screaming toddler balanced on her hip. The child's face was red and streaked with tears, his wails piercing the refined atmosphere of Beverly Hills' most exclusive bistro. "Why can't this little monster just shut up?" she hissed, bouncing him roughly. Her voice carried across the marble dining room, causing patrons to look up from their eggs, Benedict with barely concealed disgust. Camilla watched from behind the coffee station, her heart breaking. She'd raised 4 younger siblings after their mother died. She knew that desperate cry, not hunger, not pain, just a baby overwhelmed by the world's harshness. The woman tried shoving a bottle at the boy. He pushed it away, arching his back, screaming harder. Other diners whispered behind their hands. The maitre d' hovered nervously, his polished smile cracking. Without thinking, Camilla reached into her apron pocket. Her grandmother's oatmeal cookie, the one sweet treat she allowed herself each shift, saved for her 15-minute break. She'd been looking forward to it all morning. She moved quietly to the table, kneeling to the child's eye level. "Hey there, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice warm honey over broken glass. The baby's sobs stuttered. His tear-filled eyes focused on her face, then on the cookie piece she held out. His tiny hand reached forward, uncertain but hopeful. The moment he tasted it, magic happened. The crying stopped. A ghost of a smile flickered across his tear-stained face. The entire dining room exhaled in relief. "There you go, little angel," Camilla murmured, giving him the rest. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The woman's shriek shattered the piece like glass hitting concrete. Every head in the restaurant snapped toward them. Conversations died mid-sentence. "Are you feeding my son something from the ghetto?" Her voice climbed to hysteria. "Do you have any idea who I am? This is contamination. This could kill him." The words hit Camilla like physical blows. Around them, a sea of white faces stared, some with disgust, others with the cruel fascination of spectators at a public execution. "Ma'am, I was just—" "Don't you dare speak to me!" Spittle flew from the woman's lips. "I don't need parenting advice from someone like you." The manager materialized like a vulture, sensing carrion. Mr. Richardson was all sharp angles and cold authority, his pale eyes fixing on Camilla with laser precision. "What is the meaning of this disturbance?" The woman launched into her performance, each word a dagger aimed at Camilla's dignity. Pushy, inappropriate, contaminated food, potential allergens, health violations, lawsuits, destroyed reputation. Richardson listened with the gravity of a judge pronouncing sentence. When she finished, he turned to Camilla with theatrical disappointment. "Miss Johnson, is this how you represent our establishment? By harassing our valued guests?" "Sir, the baby was crying, and You just what? Decided you knew better than this child's mother? Decided to ignore every protocol about maintaining appropriate distance?" The injustice burned in Camilla's throat. She looked around desperately, hoping for one sympathetic face among the sea of designer clothes and diamond jewelry. Instead, she found only cold stares and whispered condemnations. "You have embarrassed this establishment," Richardson's voice carried to every corner of the silent room. "You have made our guests uncomfortable. You have violated the trust we placed in you." He paused, savoring his moment of absolute power. "You are here to clear tables and refill water glasses. You are not here to play nursemaid to our elite clientele's children." With theatrical flourish, he gripped her uniform collar. The expensive white cotton tore with a sound like thunder, buttons scattering across marble like falling stars. Camilla stood there in her thin undershirt, exposed and humiliated while dozens of eyes devoured her vulnerability. Some patrons looked away uncomfortably. Others watched with fascination. "You're fired!" The words fell like an executioner's axe. "Security will escort you out. Don't bother coming back for your paycheck. Consider it compensation for the disturbance you caused." The walk to the exit felt eternal, past crystal glasses and silver cutlery, past faces ranging from smugly satisfied to uncomfortably averted, past the woman whose child now sat contentedly, cookie crumbs on his tiny fingers. For just a moment, the little boy's eyes met hers. In that gaze, she saw something that looked like understanding, like gratitude. Then she was outside, California sun harsh on her skin, Le Jardin's door closing with finality. That night, Camilla huddled on a bus stop bench, wrapped in her torn apron because it was all she had. Rent due in 3 days, $17 in her pocket, no job, no references. She thought about the little boy's face when the cookie touched his lips, how quickly trust had replaced tears. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. Baby girl, kindness isn't weakness, it's the strongest thing you can do. Plant seeds of kindness, and someday they'll grow into something beautiful. 15 years crawled by like a prison sentence. Hotel housekeeping, retail, night security, whatever paid the bills. Each job a reminder of Le Jardin, of how quickly dignity could be stripped away. But she never let it make her cruel. When she saw struggle, she helped. When faced with rudeness, she responded with grace. When the world tried to make her smaller, she stood taller. Eventually, she found stability at Mel's Corner Diner, a working-class cafe where nobody pretended to be anything they weren't. She mopped floors and served coffee to truck drivers who called her by name and left dollar tips they could barely afford. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. She was finishing her evening shift, bucket in hand, when the black limousine pulled up outside. In a neighborhood of 10-year-old Hondas, it looked alien. The driver opened the rear door with practiced precision. The man who emerged was young, early 20s, wearing a suit worth more than she made in 6 months. But something about his face. He walked into the cafe with confident strides, eyes scanning until they found her. Then he smiled. Warm, genuine, transformative. "Excuse me, are you Camilla Johnson?" She nodded slowly, gripping her mop like an anchor. "Yes. Can I help you?" He stepped closer. Suddenly, she could see the child he'd been, in his eyes, his smile, the way he tilted his head. "My name is Marcus Wellington. 15 years ago, when I was 2, you gave me an oatmeal cookie at Le Jardin. Do you remember?" The mop clattered to the floor. Memories flooded back, the crying child, the angry mother, the humiliation, the torn uniform, but also that moment of connection when tears became trust. "Oh my God, you're that little boy." Marcus nodded, eyes bright with emotion. "You probably don't know what happened after. My mother, she wasn't good to me. Pills, anger, rage at everyone. But I remembered you. How you knelt to my level. How you spoke like I mattered. How you gave me something precious just to make me feel better." He pulled out a small wrapped package. "When I went into foster care, I dreamed about that moment. It was my first memory of pure kindness, someone helping without wanting anything back. It became my North Star, proof that goodness existed." Camilla unwrapped the package with trembling hands. Inside, a perfect oatmeal cookie, still warm. "I learned to make them myself," Marcus continued. "Every milestone, every achievement, I made one, and remembered the woman who taught me kindness was possible." The cafe had gone silent. Mel stood behind the counter, mouth agape. Other employees gathered, sensing something extraordinary. "I've spent 5 years looking for you. Investigators, employment records, every restaurant in the city. Finally found someone who remembered you from Le Jardin." He paused, gathering himself. "I want you to know what that moment meant. After foster care, I was adopted by an incredible family. They helped me get educated. I started a tech company at 19, educational software for underprivileged kids. Last month, we were valued at $2.8 billion. The number hung in the air like a physical thing. Camilla couldn't process it. But none of that matters as much as this." He pulled out official documents. "My company has a foundation, scholarships and resources for low-income children. We need someone to run humanitarian outreach, someone who understands struggle, who knows what it means to be overlooked, who persists with dignity when the world treats you unfairly." "I don't understand." "I'm offering you a job, Vice President of Humanitarian Outreach. Starting salary, $200,000 annually, plus benefits, plus a $2 million discretionary budget to help programs and people who need it." Silence, except for the old refrigerator's hum and distant traffic. Camilla looked around at shocked faces, Mel's wide eyes, co-workers staring like they were witnessing resurrection. But I don't have experience, education, credentials. Marcus smiled. You have something better: integrity, empathy, moral courage that makes you give away your last cookie to comfort a crying child, even knowing it might cost you everything. He paused. Those are the only credentials that matter. He knelt then, just as she had knelt to him. Taking her work-roughened hands in his smooth ones, he looked up with the same trust and gratitude she remembered. You taught me kindness is a choice. That dignity can't be taken. It's carried inside. You showed me the measure of a person isn't their title or bank account, but how they treat others when no one's watching and there's nothing to gain. Standing, still holding her hands. You've planted seeds of kindness your whole life, Camilla. Let me help you grow a forest. The cafe erupted in spontaneous applause. Mel was crying openly. Customers wiped their eyes. Marcus made a quick call. Yes, it's me. We found her. She said yes. No, we start Monday. I want her to have the weekend to process. He turned back to her. My driver will take you home. Tomorrow, movers will help you relocate anywhere you choose. Company covers everything. Monday morning, if you're ready, we'll start changing the world together. Walking toward the limousine, Camilla felt weightless. 15 years of struggle, of invisibility, of public humiliation. It all lifted with each step. Can I ask something? She said as Marcus opened her door. Anything. Your mother, what happened to her? His expression grew thoughtful. She died 5 years ago. Overdose. I paid for her funeral. I think she was in pain her whole life and didn't know how to process it except by hurting others. I felt sorry for her in the end. Camilla nodded, understanding. Even after everything, he'd chosen compassion. Exactly what she'd expect from the child who'd stopped crying at simple kindness. As the limousine pulled away, she looked back through the window. Her former co-workers still stood outside, waving and cheering. Mel wiped tables with tears in his eyes. She thought about her grandmother's words, planting seeds of kindness that would grow into something beautiful. Looking at Marcus, successful, compassionate, generous, she realized the seeds had grown beyond her wildest imagination. But the most beautiful part wasn't the money or title or recognition. It was the simple, profound truth that had sustained her through 15 years. Kindness matters, dignity matters. How we treat each other when no one's watching, that defines us. The little boy who'd once reached for her cookie with sticky fingers was now a man reaching for the world with open hands, ready to share success with those who needed it most. And impossibly, wonderfully, she was going to be part of that journey. As the limousine carried her toward an unimaginable future, Camilla whispered gratitude to her grandmother, whose wisdom had been her North Star through the darkest nights. The seeds of kindness had indeed grown into something beautiful, a forest of possibility stretching beyond the horizon.